It's day 5 of quarantine in the plague house. Hello, it's also Mother's Day. Um, Happy Mother's Day to my mother. I won't be seeing her because I've finally convinced her after 5 days of her popping around to see if I'm okay that self-isolation is in her best interest. I'm not wearing a hat, by the way, it's just a amusingly placed light lampshade. So in absence of actually having my mother here to convey a happy Mother's Day to her, I've got a few anecdotes about my mother. My mother, all the, shall we say, the more eccentric aspects of my character I get from my mum. All the slightly bizarre take on reality in the world. I'm very much my mother's son when it comes to that. So this is 4 little pieces or anecdotes or mamecdotes, if you will. Sorry, I'm not very well. I'm in quarantine, goddammit. Mamecdotes, a quadrilogy of mamecdotes. Can it be any more pretentious? Anyway, the first one is Mum versus Rod Stewart. My mum has just read that Rod Stewart is playing Belfast this year. Rod Stewart's playing Belfast this year, she exclaims. Shall I see if I can sort tickets? I dutifully pipe up, thinking she'll be thrilled. She's not thrilled. She looks at me incredulously. I wouldn't go to the top of the street to see him. Well, why did you exclaim that Rod Stewart's playing in Belfast this year then? I asked, not unreasonably. Because I can't believe that old bugger's still trotting it out. Who wants to see that, singing about being sexy? How ridiculous. My mother's frequently a surprising woman, but I should have better anticipated her reaction towards Rod Stewart. It is, on reflection, the most sane response. Now, this is Mum versus the Imam. Yeah, ooh, tread carefully, Joe. Chatting to my mum about our greatest faux pas, of which we have many, and she told me about the time she shook the Imam's hand when she was in Pakistan. Your dad introduced me to him, and so naturally enough, I put out my hand. He didn't offer his hand, so I reached out and grabbed it and shook it for him. She says she had literally no idea why everybody was suddenly staring at her aghast or why the Imam's jaw was suddenly trailing along the floor. After concluding the handshake with a cheery, "Nice to meet you," she then merrily walked out of the room, completely oblivious to the discord that she'd left in her wake. I was only being civil, sure. Nobody told me not to, and I thought he was just being a bit weird, which he was. I sometimes forget that my mum's pretty amazing, which she is. This is Mum. My God, I'm really treading on some taboos here. Hey, this is Mum versus Remembrance Day. Just been chatting to my mum. She told me she was up at Fireside Shopping Centre on Friday morning, where without warning, people about her stopped what they were doing and stood stock still and silent. She was initially a bit perturbed, but soon assumed there was just something wrong with everybody and gave the situation no further interrogation. She cheerfully carried on with her own shopping then, and sure enough, everybody else stopped being odd and carried on shopping as well. It was, of course, the 11th hour of Remembrance Day, which she only realised later that day over a cheese toastie and a UTV live feature. Struck dumb at the fact that she just assumed that everybody was being a bit odd, I weakly joked that she was lucky not to be on UTV herself after her profane perambulation about Sainsbury. Yeah, wouldn't have been hard to play Spot the Fenian, she retorted, especially as I was buying a nice bit of fish for dinner at the time. Oh, mother. And finally, oh dear God, I think I need more painkillers. Finally, pop pickers. This is Mum versus aging, the greatest shibboleth of them all. My mum has been complaining of late about getting older. Nobody compliments you anymore or says anything nice, she complained to me earlier. The other day I was crossing the road and a fellow called after me and crossed over to speak to me. "Excuse me, love, I'm sorry to bother you, but you really remind me of my friend's mother," she said to me. That's not so bad, I suggested. It's kind of sweet that this fella felt moved to cross the road to tell you that. He was in his bloody late 60s, she added, managing to neatly combine bemusement and despair in her voice. Try it, it's a hard thing to pull off. What did you say back? I asked. What could I say? Thank you? I just sort of smiled at him and he crossed back over the road again. Maybe he has a much younger friend? I offered. It was weak. We both knew it. Maybe he was on his way round to play Xbox with him. I was impressed that she knew about Xboxes. And then we ordered our coffee. Happy Mother's Day to my mother, the most important woman in my life, certainly the most influential. And happy Mother's Day to all mothers everywhere. I hope wherever you are, you're isolating and radiating. And bye bye. Take care, everybody.